Bull or bear? Let's see what happens on my big 2014 manhole cover. Actually, it's a quarter ounce U.S. commemorative quarter, which weighs about 5 ounces, and it's the Everglades. I've been having fun spinning that big ass thing here. Shows up a bull tomorrow. Let's see what happens, because we sure damn had a so-called bull market today in gold, silver, and platinum. Everything across the board up, but you know, who didn't expect that? Meanwhile, got the live Deerfield Beach underwater cam up here. Haven't put this up for a little while because normally this time it's a bit darker out, but with the daylight savings changes that we've had, a little bit easier to see tonight. Got the look downs, got the Bermuda chubs with the smiles on their faces, the look downs with their grumpy looking old man type faces there. And there goes a, oh man, I should know what that is. But this is not a tropical fish show, folks. We're here to talk about gold, silver, and platinum. And the quote of the day, which is, now this is attributed to Ronald Reagan. And I've got to be quite frank with you. I swear I heard this from my father before Ronald Reagan, so maybe it was just kind of reused and reiterated by him for some reason. But always liked the saying. I think I heard it. It was when you're ass deep in alligators, it's hard to remember that your objective was to drain the swamp. And Ronald Reagan, I guess the quote from him is, it's hard when you're up to your armpits in alligators to remember you came here to drain the swamp. I like my father's version much better. And again, I think I heard it before Ronald Reagan, but you know, it does apply. It applies to us personally. It applies to entities out there such as big banks. And I guess that's the discussion of the day and the discussion of the whole weekend. Big banks, little banks, all these banks, what's happening out there, and what has that done for the price of gold? Well, again, that's kind of like, you know, it's the one uncontrollable event that the big commercials and the big manipulators in the gold market can't really control, is when everything blows up on their side of the fence. They're going to basically not have much control over the gold market, because you're going to see a larger and larger amount of... Now this is gold in particular. Silver really hasn't risen up to the occasion as much, although silver did have some good increases this week, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But banking seems to be the... maybe it's our oh shit moment. Maybe it's not. I don't know. We were talking about that. I've been talking about that for quite some time now, 2 or 3 years. I brought it up a couple times this week that... or in the last month, that we're going to have a oh shit moment. We're going to have you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to look at the price of gold and silver. And some of you probably did it today if you weren't following the price of gold, silver, and platinum over the weekend. We're up over $100 from the lows last week in gold. And silver, you know, where we were getting into that mid and lower $20 range. We didn't quite see sub $20 gold. Silver, but we were getting into that lower $20 range, and then we're up substantially from that. I'm kind of curious what the market's doing right now, so let's take a look at that. But what I did not do is I didn't refresh my static page from Friday, March 10th, about noontime. Where were we sitting right there? We were sitting at 1861.99, 2050 silver, 960 platinum. And what was I doing when I was probably talking about this? Oh, I didn't do a video on Friday, so I wasn't talking to you about this. Sorry about that. Kind of a video. I did do a video. Was it Friday? Or maybe I didn't do a video on Friday and Saturday. Again, folks, I've kind of cut down on my video schedule a little bit. Forgive me for this. Maybe I'll get back to my 5-day-a-week thing. But right now I'm taking a little break from 5 days a week and spending more time talking when I have something to talk about, rather than just blowing a video every day and every morning like I have been. But I might get back to that. You know, I like to talk. So here we were on Friday. Now, ready? I'm going to do a quick refresh. Where are we right now? And again, most of you had your oh shit moment this morning. 1910.99. Take a look at that. Let's see if we can show the close from last week. It shows 1872, so that's up about 46 bucks. But really, or $46 on that upside. Wow, 1872 was the low. We were lower than that in gold for a little bit, but I think Thursday or Friday, or last week sometime, again, we were looking at what the mid to low 1800s for gold. I was wondering if we were going to touch into that 1799 level, but we didn't. Overall, gold up over $100. Take a look at this just from Friday. That's this morning. Up just from Friday, 46 bucks or so. $1.27 silver, and platinum up over that $1,000 mark. Platinum again Right now, market is open. It's trading slightly below that $1,000 mark. I suspected we'd see some kind of full pullback, particularly in the aftermarkets today, and that's exactly what we've seen with silver. Because take a look here at 21.95 on a high today, and we're currently sitting at 21.79. Gold sitting around 19.10, again 19.11. I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow. Will we see a pullback, or will the coin be right? Will it be a bull tomorrow? You know, does it really matter? You know why? Because on the short-term basis, on the day-to-day basis, it doesn't really matter, because you know they can batter these markets up or down. We know that there's so many crooks and manipulative markets out there. Obviously, the silver market, gold market probably as well, platinum, palladium, and I'm sure all the other hosts of markets are run by the CME group, which is the Crimex Incorporated. But let's not go there. We know what's happening there. We know that we kind of had a minor oh shit a moment this morning. And a lot of it, again, had to do with, I think, a lot of people, not so much with silver, but with gold, people jumping into gold as a safe haven. I think, and again, I don't think the big commercials or the big collusive manipulative banks out there, whether they're central banks or whether they're well, hold on. Somebody does have a say about that here in one of these articles down at the bottom. Where is that? Here, I don't mean to digress, but Andrew McGuire says that Biz Gold swaps reflect U.S. move to knock the price of gold down to protect dollar. I have not read that yet, but Andrew McGuire believes that the central banks are the big players when it comes to knocking the price of gold down on a heavy basis or on a sustained basis. You know, so the big commercials can only do it for short periods of time, you know, using their, you know, the crooked Crimex markets. But where was I going there? Well, it's all about banks. It's always been about banks, folks. It's not just about this weekend. It's not the fact that a big Silicon Valley bank in California went down and a bank in New York started to go down, and that, you know, this was all in the cards. This was all bound to happen. It was just a matter of when. You know, and we've always known, never underestimate the power of someone that has an endless money printing machine that can just endlessly print money. That's exactly what the Fed has. So it's always been about banks. So let's move along here. What is it about banks? Moral hazard, and we've talked about this, is concern as the U.S. intervenes to save big banks. Moral hazard is a concern. You know what bullshit? Reuters, by the way. No wonder. Moral hazard is a concern all of a sudden because U.S. intervenes to save big banks. What the F is the difference between now and what happened in 2008 when the Fed and the U.S. government came out to save the big banks? Who did they come out to save? They also saved other corporations like Chrysler. Didn't they loan Chrysler money? So moral hazard. They're worried about moral hazard now. They've already crossed that line back in 2008. Another shit article by Reuters, of course. But it needs to be said that at least Reuters or somebody down there now recognizes, yeah, maybe it is a moral hazard to intervene and save corporations, companies, individuals, entities that have really exhibited poor, bad behavior financially, economically, morally, whatever it may be. Maybe they deserve to go broke and not be bailed out. Well, of course, but Reuters is probably just catching on to this now, not realizing that we've already had big moral hazard because of the bailouts of 2008. And the funny thing about this whole bailout right now is this bailout is really for supposedly about smaller banks, but it ain't smaller banks. That big bank that they just bailed out in California wasn't a small bank. It was a bank that was funded by a bunch of investment people that helped start, you know, IPOs and startups and stuff like that. But anyways, and they'll get bailed out. They'll get bailed out because that's what we do now. Moral hazard. Sorry, Scott Murdoch. We lost that back in 2008. U.S. banks have an unrealized loss of $620 billion. The FDI says. I say they're probably wrong. It's probably 2 and 3 times that, 4 times that. If the government says 620, just multiply it times 4. It's like a contractor. It'll be done this week. Figure it 4 weeks from now. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of true. CNN, of course, you can't expect them to give good information, but figure that is probably at least twice as big as what they're leading on to. I'm sure there's about over $1 trillion of unrealized losses out there. Pam, how am I sure of that? I don't know. Just a gut feeling that they lie to us all the time, and you can at least double the numbers when they do give us bad news. Pam and Russ Martins, who I happen to like quite a bit, bring up a great article here that I recommend that folks read. And you can read it for free at gata.org up here, which is a great website, should be on your bookmark bar. Silicon Valley Bank was a Wall Street IPO pipeline in drag as a U.S. insured bank. And this is true. That's exactly what it was. It was a Silicon Valley bank that was help with startups and all that stuff. I can kind of read into this, folks, but you know what? Me reading, well, if you're walking and you don't have a book and you can't be reading this right now, it does help for me to read. But tonight I'm going to recommend that you read this article on your own, and you can understand why Silicon Valley Bank failed and why Jerome Powell's Fed led the effort to make sure that $150 billion of the bank's uninsured depositors' money would be treated as FDI insured and available today. You know, that's the big really news of the day is that you know, it says on the sign what your deposits, you know, if you're an individual, your deposits are covered up to $250 million or $250,000, I'm sorry, you know, and only as an individual. I don't believe as a corporation, as a business, you're covered by the FDIC. I don't believe you are. I could be wrong on that. However, they just stepped in and they offered to cover all the bank's uninsured depositors. Folks, talk about moral hazard, talk about, you know, but again, they were up at a rock and a hard place. They were looking over the weekend at bank runs, at people running and getting their bank. Even the banks that I deal with, Truist, who I'm getting away from, to be quite honest with you, moving out of Truist because they've become a giant piece of shit Bank of America, in my opinion. But even the little bank that I went to, Synovus, took a hit, 12%. I like Synovus, by the way. But Truist took a hit of like 16%. We can take a look at it. Where did I actually put that over here? Take a look at this. Bank I've been dealing with back when they were Bank Atlantic, and then they changed to, they combined with SunTrust, and they became this atrocity, Truist Financial Corp. But 17%, holy crap. The bank that I actually just switched to didn't take a hit as much, 10%, but banks across the board took a big hit, except for probably JP Morgan. They're the ones that are going to buy up these banks as soon as they go out of business. We'll all be working for JPM one day, with you guys. All of us. We'll all be slaves of JPM. U.S. bails out Silicon, we know that, uninsured depositor. Again, folks, no good news. Is it the oh shit moment we've been waiting for gold, silver, and platinum? Well, it's possible. Because again, if you're ass deep in alligators, if you've got your big commercial banks, and I haven't checked to see how well the big commercial short banks are. I mean, the commercial banks like Bank of America, you know, how well they got hit this, but they had to take a good hit. And you know, once that bank gets into survival mode, their commodity shenanigans will probably cease to exist, or you know, because they can't afford the failure of getting caught with silver too much, unless they're already in that trouble right now with Bank of America. But again, it's all revolves around banks. We've talked about this for years. And what does it have to do with banks? Well, take a look at this, folks. In the last 1 month, basically not even a month, 2022, this is December 1st to January 1st of this year. Take a look at that line. I mean, my gosh, that's, you could, I mean, that says it all right now. That says it all. And I knew watching this has been up for a little while right here. This line has been up for quite some time. When I saw this, I said, you know, we're sliding really off the hill somewhere here. It looks like that. But even the 1 year, take a look at the 1 year. A little recovery right there with some dollar strength, some dollar shenanigans by the Fed, but no less, just a downward spiral from here. Wow, take a look at that from 35.5. This is the Consumer Price Index, which represents the purchasing power of yourself, of our money, your money, my money, the money that we make, whether it's through our labor, through our business, whatever, the money that we get, it's the purchasing power of that money. And as you can see, particularly since this administration has gotten power, but I can't blame it on just this moronic administration that's running the government right now. It's multiple administrations for decades have been driving this price down. All you got to do is, again, take a look at this chart. 10-year. Do you see at any point that this chart's moving up on the medium or long-term trend? No, you don't. This should have been concern for worry for a lot of people, folks. I mean, unless we were living at this time, and all this was the theft of gold by FDR. That's the only reason that you see the dollar go up. when FDR stole it from the American public and then repriced the dollar with a newer, higher gold price, official gold price. But even then, it's been downhill since then. So the writing has been in the wall. This should not surprise anybody what's happening. The timing is surprising because whoever gets these things on the short and long term. Meanwhile, speaking of timing, take a look at this. Another great chart to look at. The reason why you should not be uncomfortable owning gold, silver, platinum. The Fed balance sheet versus the gold price. Let's just look at the gold price. As the Fed balance sheet has increased, and we can go back, actually this goes back, let's see, all years. Let's go back all years. And how come, let's see if I can go back even more than that. It goes back 30 years. That's really about it for this particular chart. But the Fed balance sheet, as it's increased substantially, you can see that take a look at this, and you know when that is. The Fed actually, think about this. I mean, look, Fed, 25% their balance sheet. Take a look at this now. 1,100. This sheet should just frighten the hell out of anybody, this graph right here. And again, this is not a new graph, folks. This is just, the writing on the wall. Now, the Fed was able to kind of reduce their balance sheet of late when they started raising interest rates and started laying off a lot of this toxic debt that they're not laying off, but trying to. But we're going to just see a big reversal from right here because there's two things the Fed can do. Is they can continue to tighten, in which case we're going to see more failures and more bank failures and more failures out there. And who the failures are? The failures are their buddies, their big Wall Street buddies. You think they're going to let them fail? No. They'd rather let inflation go rampant at this point, and that's probably what you're going to see, and that's why you're going to see the price of gold and silver go up substantially. 1980, similar circumstance. Except there weren't near as look, the Fed, here it is right here, take a look at it. The balance sheet in 1980, you can't even look at it, but it had to be basically next to nothing. Look at the Fed balance sheet. My God, 2%. Whew, that's frightening. Again, this number, the Fed balance sheet, should just frighten the hell out of anybody in the entire world that can understand even a basic graph out there, folks. And again, this is why you want to own gold. And as you can see, gold is kind of followed that up, as well as, I've always said, an inverse relationship to the falling buying power of the dollar. But another interesting thing here, let's take a look at, folks, is the fact that gold prices, 100-year historical chart. Not many people know this, but if you think about this, and this is why I like silver so much, because I think silver out of all the metals out there is the most. People ask me, what metal do you like most? Well, I own them all, and I think it's a good idea to be diversified in different metals. But why do I like silver and gold? Silver better than gold? Because I think silver is the most repressed metal out there. And again, I believe it's because of the collusive, manipulative. Not believe, I know it is. Because of collusive, manipulative behavior in the CRIMEX markets. But no less, silver is the most repressed metal out there. Oddly enough, take a look at this inflationary period during 1980, where inflation just got completely out of hand. But remember, Volcker, whoever it was, did raise interest rates. Remember, CDs were paying up to 12%. But gold's first ultimate high, because I'm going down a different rabbit hole here. I want to show you why I think that silver may be the most undervalued asset out there when it comes to all these commodities that I'm aware of. An underpriced commodity out there. Gold, all-time high. Gold, here, 2011, 2012, all-time high. Gold, again, 2020, all-time high. So what does this mean? Gold has hit its all-time high 3 times. Generally speaking, where gold goes, silver follows, but not so much the case here. Take a look at this. Silver prices repressed substantially. It's got, again, on the crooked CRIMEX markets. But there's your first 1980. Silver's all-time high. Second all-time high for silver, 2011. But what's missing right here? Well, that third all-time high that we saw with gold in 2020. And again, I don't believe this has anything to do with organic market levels or supply and demand or real free market pricing. This has to do with repressive, manipulative, collusive behavior in the CRIMEX market that kept silver at this level and whacked it down when it was hitting that $30 level, because they learned their lesson right here. And they pulled out all the stops to keep it below that 30. Folks, the most crooked, in-your-face manipulation I have ever seen. We saw it right here. It was a little harder to see when J.P. Morgan and the others crushed this market back in 2011. Silver really should be $50 an ounce on average, all right? It should be, the ratio should be closer to the price of gold, but it's not, again, because of pure crooked behavior in the price discovery place that it's made, which is the Crimex, Comex markets. But again, I digress. We talk about this all the time. And what do you got to worry about, folks? Don't worry about a thing. Don't worry about anything. You know why? You don't have to worry about the big banks. You know why you don't have to worry about your bank going belly up. And by the way, if your bank goes belly up, they're still going to make you put, if you lose all your money in your bank, they're still going to make you pay your mortgage. Trust me. That's not the way it works with these crooked mothers. But don't worry about a thing. You know why, folks? Because our buddy here has got everything under control. He insists that it's safe. And you know what? If you can't trust this fella, who the F can you trust out there? And you know what else you can feel safe? Because if you've been listening to me and other people out there that have been telling you to stack gold and silver, folks, you've got your pot of, there's your pot of gold right there. And by the way, when is, I think we're coming up on, I should know that, I got a little bit of Irish in me, I think, but we're coming up on the St. Patty's Day sometime soon, I think, right? I don't know, I got to look at the calendar. Stay away from me gold, by the way, and this is why you don't have to worry, because you've got gold and you've got silver, folks. And let's get into last week's video here. I'm going to answer a few questions. I'm going to call it quits. What are the best deals out there? Premiums have gone up, by the way. Got to tell you, premiums have gone up. I kind of warned you folks that I think that the premiums were really super cheap for some time there, and silver and gold were kind of cheap. Not only have we seen the gold and silver prices move up, but premiums have increased a little bit too, primarily in gold products. I haven't got my new sheets right here, so I'll get into that this week sometime. Oh, I will be out of town Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'll be attending a coin show somewhere in the continental U.S., so if I get a video done, fine. If not, I guess I'll have to talk to you when I get back in town. But meanwhile, let me answer questions from last week's video, Bix Weir and Steve St. Angelo, my reaction video. I didn't name that, by the way. I guess I know what a reaction video is now. You really don't see my reaction, though, can you? I guess you can hear my reaction. Rob F., what's up? Detective 45. Am I saying that right? Detective 45. Great info. You're welcome. Oh, DET 45. Oh, my Okeechobee dude. What's going on, dude? Mike Matson says climate change, obviously. FNU clone says Steve Angelo. Sounds like he doesn't understand basic. You know what, to be all honest with you, I only listened about 2 minutes of that video. So, and I was just going to talk about the premiums, and I simply stated that Steve really didn't know what he was talking about when it came to premiums on physical products. I wasn't really taking sides on that argument either way, but his comments on physical products was just kind of way off base, and that's what I kind of brought up in my video. Mike's Big Epiphany says ASE is American, every other coin is foreign. It's true, Mike. Thanks for watching. Ernest says the precious metals price has nothing to do with how good or bad the economy is for supply and demand, and everything to do with rigging, manipulation of them, which, by the way, is considered racketeering. The people who have been manipulating for the last 75 years have created a narrative. This is the way it is. Ernest, you obviously have been watching my videos. You and I are on the same page. And guys, if you want to read the rest of Ernest's comment here, I did. Here it is right here. And can't argue with the man at all. And feel free to answer his comment here. It was on last Thursday's video, which is called, well, you'll see it at the top of the page. Thanks for commenting, Ernest. I appreciate that. Tree Climber, how you doing? The Geiger Square bars are pretty cool. I had some of them in gold that we just sold recently with some, they had enamel on them too. Gold bars with enamel. I thought that was kind of cool. Clayton says one day Mexico announced they're going to join the BRICS nations. The next day Lindsey Graham wants to know. Yeah, Lindsey Graham is a, I hope Lindsey Graham joins John McCain smoking turds in purgatory pretty soon. That war-mongering piece of crap, in my opinion, that man is. And so are some of his other so-called conservative liberal friends. Nothing liberal about anybody out there that's all for gold. Nothing, I mean, all for war. And there's nothing conservative about anybody that's for war. Any conservative or liberal that says they're for war or are okay with war, they're morons. They're idiots. I'm sorry, but it's true. No one's okay with war if you've got half a brain in your head. Hi, Stackers. Hi, Tree Climber. Reassess my opinion on Steve. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Again, don't know much about Steve. Don't even know who he is at all. Just first time I ever heard of him was on this little video I did last week. And I'm really only familiar with Oh, what's his name? Oh gosh, I forgot the guy's name already. Bix, sorry about that, I should know. I'm only familiar with Bix because I think I heard one of his videos one time, a long time ago when I was watching. Remember, I don't watch videos on silver and gold at night because I do this for a living. It's like a plumber coming home and watching plumber videos. I just don't do it. But I did see a Bix video some time ago where I believe he sings and plays a guitar or something, don't he? And then he's got some ideas about, their gold, and the Grand Canyon and some other things. That's about all I know about. Most of you guys know way more than I do, so can't comment about the guy. Don't want to. Wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to comment about Steve other than, again, he just screwed the pooch when it came to not being knowledgeable about coin premiums, and he didn't. I just called that out. The way I'm starting to, they don't use mumble jumble to cater to audience. That's true. Truth sayers don't use mumble jumble. When you start to hear more nonsense than facts, you lost me and are wasting my time. People need to start realizing, you know who else speaks all kinds of mumble jumble? Effing politicians. Can't argue with that, sir. HD, I really appreciate that. And again, folks, make sure you go to the comment section and you guys can comment on comments. Silver Liner, hey, there you are again, dude. What's going on? Silver says Bix is the man. Steve on the hand is trying to act a fool when he's convenient. Again, can't say the personalities of either one of these characters. Don't know either one. All I can say is about why I kind of answered the way I do. You got a new time frame, the same thing. That's pretty cool. But, I know my premiums. This is what I've done for a living most of my life. I don't think Steve nor Bix knows much about physical. And again, that's not a slight of them, but again, I do this for a living since I was a kid, buying and selling precious metals on a wholesale and retail level. So I don't expect that these guys are always going to know as much as I know about the topic, so I wouldn't diss them if they made mistakes. But they did. Steve did. Welco, what's up? Michael Matthew, how's it going? Psychological numbers are definitely striking. We didn't see that sub $1,800 mark, even though I thought we saw gold in that 1809 mark. Silver, again, never crossing below 20. They're getting close, though. 2009, 20, what was it, intraday trading? Jeff Keller, thank you for the wrap-up of the week. I appreciate that. Nice comment. Philip Stanton, if you're submitting coins or grading, would you go with PCGS or NGC? I think I'd go with either company. They both have their screw-ups. They both make mistakes. They both have their grades are maybe a little too high or a little bit too low. But overall, good companies, both of them. PCGS, in some instances, is known to be a little bit tighter on certain coins, but not on all. Can't take that as a all or nothing thing. Mark Hall, what's up? Again, don't know that for sure, but haven't watched them, can't say it, but appreciate your opinion on that as well, and all of you guys. Silas says, I at one time heard Big State there was a mint hoarding silver eagles for future circulation. No way. Hoarding silver eagles, no. That would be a little bit out there for me to believe that the mint was hoarding silver eagles for future circulation. No, I would have to agree with you, but I never heard him say that. But let me think here. Do they want to read? Thanks, Silas. Pretty kind of interesting. Again, I don't know who these guys. Chuck, I don't want to say that's true. I don't even know that he does that. I had no clue. I thought he was just a gold and silver guy. Again, don't want to comment on things I don't know for sure, or have a good confidence that I do. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Joe. You too. Thomas Seeger says, I understand the reason we're priced as they were, why Steve acts like he does. Bix destroyed him in this debate. Didn't watch the debate. Again, my video was just based on premiums in the 2 minutes of that video that I was commenting on. I didn't watch the whole thing. I believe that they were also talking about gold in the Grand Canyon or something. There's a kind of off out there topic that I've never discussed, but maybe I should watch it. Maybe I would be entertained with it. Again, I was just talking about what I know for sure is about premiums, and I was discussing that part of the video when they were discussing premiums. Thanks, Thomas. Joe, what's up, dude? Thanks for watching. Thanks to all of you watching. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, that like button, and that subscribe, and the little bell, wherever that might be on your page. Appreciate you guys following me. You can also follow me here on Twitter, where I'm up to actually 38 followers. Woohoo! But you can catch me out here. I do check into it more often than I ever had the account for some time, but never really looked into it. Elon Musk bought it, and I kind of have a little more faith in this social media system now that he owns it. It seems like a more of a free speech program than it has been. So please feel free to ask me questions and talk to me out here. There's my name, Brian Kuzmar, and I don't have it as a company name out there. And don't forget, if you're buying gold, silver, and platinum, I offer to beat APMEX, SDJ, and Bullion on their online prices for reasonably priced online products. I also beat the locals down here too, so make sure you visit us at our brick and mortar store here in South Florida, which I'll get to in a moment. And if you don't ever find me on this particular social media platform, you can find me here. Why wouldn't you find me on this particular media platform? Because, well, I do tend to have a foot and mouth thing occasionally, and I know there's things I shouldn't say, but I might one day, so we'll see. And if you don't find me on that platform, you can find me here, and I'll certainly go from having a few followers to having like 3 if that does happen. But anyways, what are the alternatives? Meanwhile, like I said, if you're looking for gold, silver, and platinum, make sure you hit me up here at South Florida. If you live in South Florida, we have a brick and mortar open 10 to 4 Mondays through Fridays. We can sell you anywhere from $1 worth to millions of dollars worth of gold, silver, and platinum. At competitive prices, we offer to beat the locals, APMEX, SD&J, and Bullion. And if you don't live in South Florida and you are looking to buy more than 100 ounces of gold, I can help you there as well, or more than 1,500 ounces of silver. I can help you with larger deals. We don't have an online a sales site, but we can do sales over the phone on larger deals. Folks, and if you can't visit me and you can't do these larger deals with me on the phone, please, please, please find yourself a good local dealer before you go hit APMEX, SD&J, JM Bullion. The only reason is I'm a big advocate of keeping that money local, and I think that if you find a good local dealer, you know, it'll be worth your while to do that. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget, Lakeland Collectorama show coming up June 22nd to the 24th, and I'll be talking more about that as time goes by. Again, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.